Well, I would like to join Shazia to welcome you. It's a great day. We have just celebrated the Singapore National Day yesterday, and we are going to celebrate India's 70th Independence Day on 15th of August. So we have and I think it's not by chance, it's by destiny that these two great nations, Day of National Day and Independence Day, fall very close to each other in the month of August. So this is a very good time to take a break and discuss some of the things which are happening in the world. I am a man of technology, and I've always embraced new technologies whenever in my business. And we know in the world of technology, the biggest change is coming. The technological innovation is changing the way the youth lives today. We have already made the world as one. People have one number through which they can connect to the world. And through the WhatsApp now, you don't even need email anymore. So I think in this fast-changing technological world, we must understand that though we belong to various nations, we have various religions, we may have a different gender, but ultimately we are a big human family. And the technology does not distinguish between these things. The technology goes beyond boundaries. And this technological innovation is not coming from one country. It is coming from all over. And never before there is so much disruption, and for people in business, it's a very challenging time because you don't know which country will hit you from where and which technology will hit you from where. So I have personally experienced it, but I think a lot of business people do experience this, that they have to be a global citizen in terms of their customer base, whom they deal with, but also in terms of their own employees in the organizations and the way they work within the organization. So is nationality dead? Is nationalism dead? There is no space for nationalism in future. And I think though the technology is taking its old thing, we have these old institutions which are still need to innovate themselves. Some of the things they are doing, especially in terms of various nations, how they have their defense system, how they fight, plan to fight. They still have big armies. They still put these armies in TVs and make us all scared with these people trying to kill. And the more you die for the nation, it's considered a great nationalism, a great heroism. I think it's time to think that is it necessary at all? Is it necessary to bring nationalism to a point that it destroys humanity? It cuts the humanity angle out. I think we are now entering into an era where the space has become the basis of development. We are in a space era as far as the technology is concerned, as far as the new way of living is concerned. Today you see all the things through iCloud, through space. You see solar energy coming from space. You see so many technologies which are coming from space. So even the way the things are given, and these companies who are using space technology are seeing huge valuation. You see a company like Netflix, going to a valuation of more than $80 billion without even having a studio. You have a company like Uber, which or others, which are again, $100 of billion without having a car. The same thing like Airbnb, and I can go on and on. It is, and these companies have created wealth which nobody could imagine. It took a group like Tata Group in India nearly 100 years of history to create Tata Group. And they have a company called, software company within the group called TCS. And not only one company is bigger than the whole Tata Group, but it is 1.5 times bigger than the whole Tata Group. And the Tata Sons, which is supposed to be a very traditional house with always Parsis on the top, have a person who belonged to the CEO of TCS. So this change which is happening in business and in social life of people, how will the politicians take it? And that's why it has to be seen, is the politicians going to be innovative? If politicians are going to change the way they work in future? Is the politicians are going to evolve with this new challenge in the world? We saw in 2008 onwards a great effort taken by Americans to create a new body called G20, which allowed, they said that we have 20 nations which cover 95% of the world economy, so we have got it all covered. And people thought that, okay, this G20 has come, now there will be a peace in the world because everything will be resolved through there. But we see in a very short time, within a period of 8 to 9 years, again we are seeing a change. And never before the change is more prominent than today. Because a country which has been leading the world, which has been policing the world, and which has been the anchor for this globalization, is suddenly realized that while they are helping the world to globalize, in their own country they have big problems. I'm talking of USA, a country which has a deficit of $19 trillion, increasing $1 trillion per year, virtually on a bankruptcy situation. And no wonder the people of US has selected a businessman to lead the country who can balance their balance sheet. It's a country which is now realized that what happened to Russia, a few years back, when they realized that while they were doing global leadership, their own country went under bankruptcy, and they have to actually give away the countries. They gave up East Germany, they gave up a lot of countries because they could not afford to, try to use their taxpayers' money to support these countries. And why should they? So that collapse of Russia, what we call the old USSR, was also because of economic reason. And I think this change which we are seeing in US is also for this reason. Now, there is one country which, is a different kind of country. I belong to that country originally, but now I am a Singapore citizen. This country is moving in its own way, but it's the largest democracy in the world, and that's why we are talking of and trying to recreate itself. Instead of, the Prime Minister of India has defined and said, from India, we will make it New India. Now, people are wondering, what is this New India? What is this? Because India has a huge history, and to change India to a New India is something which is a question which everybody is seeing. But it's not only New India being talked about. I heard that China is talking about New China. They are talking about made in China and things like that. So every country is evolving itself, because the leaders of those countries have realized that the old ways will not work. They will also have to prepare themselves to listen to the youth of that country. Like India, for example, is going for digitizing India. They talk of the whole country being digitized. Everybody should use digital technology for their lifestyle. Because that's the need of the youth. The youth in the world is well connected. With the help of Facebook and many other things. So the politicians have to listen to the youth of the world. And when the youth is uniting, there is no reason why the politicians of the world will not unite. And I think this is happening. This is a very transition time at present because we see somehow people are talking, is no longer G20, is G19 in actual practice because the US is saying that we have to take care of us first. So there is a lot of things are happening. We hear it every day, we read it in the newspaper. And for people, generally it's very, very confusing. It's extremely confusing to see what's happening in the world. We don't know what's happening. People ask, wonder, is there going to be a new leader? Is there going to be, again, we have to see a new waves coming. So I think today's meeting is to discuss that. We have two sessions today. One is discussing about New India as an emerging global leader. And why we say emerging global leader, not India, the new India. The difference is the new India has the ambition of being a country which can modify itself, which can be a country which the world will admire, but without, hopefully, any ambition, which India never had, to rule the world. And somebody, when the country grows, is suddenly to say, why can't I lead the world? But I think India, with its history, if anything, if I quote Vivekananda, he said, India can conquer the world with India's spirituality and wisdom. So I think that's what India is for. And that's why it's very interesting to understand what India is all about. We have a lot of people from India who will be here, but we also have people from all over the world. We have speakers from China, from Philippines, from Korea, and other countries. So we'll love to hear them, their views, and it's very important. It's an informal meeting, it's a private, setup. So please be free to talk, whatever you want to talk. There is no official talks here, though we have our High Commissioner here, which is there. But I think sometimes it's better to get rid of all these, boundaries with which you can't say this, you can't say that. In a small gathering, we can talk that. That's why we have it in our own office, so that we can discuss this in a very informal manner. And hopefully, at the end of the seminar, we go with a great hope rather than apprehension of the future world. Today, as I came here, I was reading and talking to some people, and the world is nervous. The people are nervous because the leaders are making them nervous. And I think it's time that this nervousness should go off. We are in a new world. It's a new world where the knowledge is become predominant. We are in the knowledge society, and in a knowledge society, there is no, room for fear. I think in a knowledge society, we have to move to an era where we have a world which is void of fear. And I think this conference should help us moving towards that. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope we have a good discussion.